okay? But I believe that every child is a precious gift from God that deserves ample opportunity to achieve their full potential. After all, they are the future. Also, I have a very deep, strong desire to leave my little piece of the world better than I found it. That's why I'm running for school board again. Donna and I have been here in Marion County. I moved here in '81, and we got together in '83, and we've been married for 32 years. My daughter and my son went to Dunnellon schools, so we've been here for a long, long time, and I care deeply about Marion County. I only want what's best for Marion County. I absolutely believe that we need safe schools, and that's top priority. We also need better instructional materials. I work with a group called Florida Citizens Alliance. I've made many, many, many trips to Tallahassee to work to improve education and to defend our rights. So if you want more information about Florida Citizens Alliance, I have a flyer there, but that briefly they have over 80 member organizations across the state with over 20,000 members. Thank you. I'm so glad. Anyhow, I do have a proven track record of working hard in the community and working hard in Tallahassee to improve education and to defend our rights. Remember, vote Ed for education. Thank you all very much, and God bless.
Good evening, everybody. One more time. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Reverend Eric Cummings. I am the pastor of the New Zion Missionary Baptist Church. But from 2007 to 2016, I was the pastor of the Union Missionary Baptist Church here in Dunnellon, Florida. Not only was I the pastor of the Union Missionary Baptist Church, but I was actively engaged in the community of Dunnellon, Chatmire, and the surrounding areas. So I'm not a stranger to Dunnellon. I'm running here because the school system is in dire straits. I am by trade, I am a law enforcement, certified law enforcement officer, have been for the past 24 years, currently work for the Florida Department of Corrections. Now also am a minister. I am a certified crisis negotiator. That's a good thing because our current school system is in a crisis. It's in a crisis because we're in a race to the bottom. Recently, we were, prior to last year, we were 58, 57, but currently we're number 61 out of 67 counties in the state of Florida. That means that our school system is in a crisis. We need to make sure that we are going to put our students first again. Recently, I was noticing and doing some studying and looking at the 5 district goals of the Marion County Public School System. Last year, they had a whole lot of stuff up there. Number 4 was safe schools. Number 5, the students showed up. This year, I looked at the 5 district goals of Marion County Public School System. Number 1 was safe schools after the Forest incident. Number 5 is still the students. When are the students going to go up in the district goals? We talk about the Forest incident. I love what Brother Prophet said about the Forest incident, but my son was at Forest that day. He's a graduate of Forest High School. Raise your hand, Kimbe. Is he still back there? He's going back to, he's doing some rallying for me, but he was in school that day. So I take this thing personal about being safe schools. But not only do we have to have safe school, we have to also support the students and the parents. We have to make sure they have the proper resources that they're going to need. We need to also support the teachers and all of the county workers that work in the Marion County Public School District. From the lunchroom lady, from the bus driver, the bus aide, all the way up to the district office. We need to support them. But then finally, we need to make sure that we have smart spending. Because if we don't make sure that we go through every line item of the budget and see what's best for our students, we're going to continue to go down instead of up. My name is Eric Cummings. On August 28th, you want to make the best choice and vote for Reverend Eric Cummings, District 3, which is the Dunnellon District.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Angie Boynton. I'm the school board for Marion County. I'm the vice chair right now. I'm a candidate also. I always tell this to people instantly. I did have a stroke about a year and a half. And all the parents and teachers and a lot of the students called me back instantly and said, Ms. Boynton, get up. You can keep going. Keep going because we need you. And I said, okay. I kept going, you know, and after a while, with the school, they began to ask me if I would be on the school board one more time. And I said, I don't know, you know, not because the struggle was doing so much better, but it was just being speaking. And so the parents have called me, more and more parents, and even some of the students called me, and I said, well, maybe one more. After a while, more than parent calling, after a while, it was like 4. And I said, you know what, I will vote again one more time, just one more time. Because I believe in our parents, our students, and our employees. Excuse me, I will tell you that I have done policies, and I can give a lot of the policies that we have. Because I believe that to give donations for our school board. So I made another policy for these things. I made some policies for our lawyer, even for the legal persons. I wrote all those different things. I provided 3 committees for us. One was the oversight committee responsible, the parent involvement committee, which I gave for Nancy Stacy to be on it. I also put Bobby James on the balance scorecard also. I've done a lot of different things, but then the best thing that I thought was the programs. The programs is when you can go and change for our students, you know, and one was, and we're doing it right now, it's called the treatment program for an alcohol. Other than that, those children would be what? Out of the school. The other one that I have right now, I'll give you 2 more. The one was on sexual attachment. Those are the things that I do. And I think that's why the parents are saying, Angie, we need you one more time. There are different things because, you know, in Tallahassee, we don't do everything. We have to do every policy by law. And if we double those things by law, we'll be doing all the things, and it won't help if we don't do those things. And that's why I get up all the time and write those policies. This is Angie Boynton for the Marion County School Board District 4. Please vote for me this one more time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Thrower, and this is my palm card, and you probably already have it in your hands or at your seat. It also doubles as a fan, so you're welcome. I'm running for Marion County School Board District 4. I'm an educator, special needs teacher. I'm going to be starting my 21st year with Marion County Public Schools this year. I'm a small business owner, and I'm a community volunteer. My husband Fred and I are very proud of our 3 boys who are all successful graduates of Marion County Public Schools. Our youngest, Sam, just graduated in May from Westport High School. So he is on his way. And that really opened it up for me to be able to have the time and look for a new challenge. So that's why I'm running for school board. I'm a passionate problem solver. I worked my way up the old-fashioned way. I started my career at North Marion High School as a special needs paraprofessional, and I loved it. And the kids said to me, Miss, you should become a teacher. Darn those kids. But that's how it went for me. And then I started teaching, and then I worked my way up to a district behavior specialist, which has been my position for the last 14 years. And in that capacity, I work with schools, teachers, parents, administrators, agencies, and countless other folks across the state for the benefit of children. I'm a community volunteer. I am so passionate about Marion Therapeutic Riding Association. Also, I've worked very closely with the Guardian Ad Litem programs to try to help our most vulnerable Marion County students. The thing that really makes it important to me to run is that I have the in the trenches experience. And I will be bringing that directly from the school system and onto the school board. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to be able to do this at this point in my career. And I just wanted to thank all of you for showing up today. The Denellen Chamber and Business Association, Mayor Green, and all of you that are taking the time to educate yourselves and become even more informed voters. We need you in our schools. Thank you. A big part of my platform is visibility, accountability, and communication. I've loved being out in the community and learning from so many of you and hear your ideas about how to improve our public schools. It's so important as a school board member to be visible and build relationships with your schools. I've done the petition card process, which means 2,309 people decided that I deserve to be put on the ballot. I'm the only one in the District 4 race that has qualified by petition card, and I'm very much looking forward to being your next school board member. Again, I'm Nancy Thrower, running for School Board District 4. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be here. 2014, I ran for office. Who remembers my campaign? Yes. Then you know that I did qualify for petition 4 years ago. I was the first one to qualify by petition. Well, this time I decided to do it differently. And both ways are the right way to do. As a true conservative, there are times when spending your own hard-earned dollars to a cause that you believe in is the right way to do. And I consider this an investment in the children of Marion County, as an investment in the future of Marion County, and it is investment in all of you guys, because I'm giving back to my community. My education, my professional career, work ethic, and community volunteer experience have prepared me to serve on the Marion County School Board as your next District 4 representative. I have a bachelor's degree in law, construction management degree, and I'm a health and life insurance agent at this moment. Currently, what I bring as far as my experiences, I have 13 years worked for the prosecutor's office in Suriname, South America, where I was born and raised, and I came here in the 90s. I have 11 years experience working in the construction field. My focus was building with the School Construction Authority in New York on schools, roadways, highways, and you can imagine, union trades, coalition, you have to deal with all those guys, make them respect you. You know, I'm a small woman, I'm a petite person, but you have to stand your ground as a woman, and you have to make sure that you lead by example, and your strong work ethic, that's what speaks for itself. I had to go back to school to make sure I'm bilingual. I'm sorry, I'm fluent in Dutch and I'm fluent in Hindi. So I had to go back to school to make sure that I had proficiency in English and writing. So I have done it. Also, now I'm going into my 11th years as a life, health, and annuity agent. And what I do for my clients, the federal government, the Obamacare, I mean, it's a conglomerate of things. What I would like to bring is a balance in the school board. I want to be the minority representation. Our teachers, I have teachers, school staff, students, 35% are minority, so I want to be their representative. And if a child is not ready to go into the next grade, please don't promote that child. Teach them the right way. Teachers, they are in the trenches. We need to value them, we need to promote them, and we need to respect them. High paid, highly qualified, effective teachers, that's what we need in our classroom. Thank you, my name is Jane Morley and I'm running for the Marion County School Board District 4.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly King and I am the incumbent for Marion County School Board District 5 and I am running for re-election. I am a Florida native. I have lived in Marion County for 20 years and I have resided in the district that I serve for the last 19 years. I have a master's degree in educational leadership. I have a bachelor's in elementary education. I have served as a teacher for 12 and a half years, and I have been on the school board serving since 2014. There are many good things that are happening in Marion County schools. For example, our vocational schools, we're doing a wonderful job with that. We have logistic programs. We know after hearing our county commissioners speak that we have Chewy and FedEx and AutoZone, and we are doing a great job in our school system. We have a new program like CDL license coming out in August, and logistic programs, robotic programs, and stuff like that. That being said, I do understand that we have big problems in our elementary schools. And I know you guys are informed voters, and I want to do a good job today and inform you of what the role and responsibility is for a school board member. I know I'm far away, but if you look at this chart, this is an organizational chart. If you look at the center, this is the superintendent, and underneath, you'll see many names. That's her employees. Over here is the school board. School board is charged with budget and policy. That's it, budget and policy. The superintendent gives her recommendations, and then she runs the day-to-day business. As a board member, I have been very effective. I know how to analyze and read and approve our budgets. I know how to approve good policy. I want you guys to make sure that you do your research and make sure you clearly understand the difference of a school board member and the superintendent's responsibilities. And if you guys leave with nothing else more than that, that's what I ask that you please take home. 30 seconds. Okay, you will hear from my opponents that they may have some business experience. I stand before you, I know the educational system, I have a good pulse on it. I have experience with approving budget for a $500 million agency to watch your tax dollars. I ask that you please do your research, and I humbly ask for your support on August 28th to vote for Kelly King. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for being here. You guys have been troopers. I'm the last one, so you're almost done, I promise. I am Sheila Arnett, and I'm running for School Board District 5. I'm married to former County Commissioner Earl Arnett. We have 3 children and 4 grandchildren, and have lived and worked in Marion County for over 35 years. I've been a hospice-specific healthcare recruiter since 2000. Clients hire my firm from all over the country to fill key management positions that they have open, and at times they contract us to look at the weaknesses in their organization and find ways for them to grow their business. I'm currently on the board of the Marion County Homeless Council, formerly on the board of the Marion County Literacy Council. Earl and I have been married 27 years, and in that time have logged in literally thousands of hours volunteering in our community and doing community service projects. After spending all of that time and realizing my passion for the community, I decided to run for school board. As I tell the healthcare clients that hire my company, unity and stability in their companies are of the utmost importance. That is doubly true for our school board. Our school board and the district have to be going in the same direction to succeed. Our children are our most precious asset, and their education is of paramount importance. I also realize as a mother and a grandmother the need that we have for stronger discipline policies in our schools in light of the recent school shootings that we unfortunately hear about almost weekly. We hear way too much how that child was a discipline problem or perhaps bullied. We need to have stronger discipline in our schools, and we need to make our schools a harder target. I believe teachers should come to school and be able to teach children that are there ready to learn. Children that are there to bully one another or to act out have no place in our schools, and we need to have the ability to not have them continue in our schools. I know that many of you have paid for, to raise and pay for the education of your children, and now we ask you with your tax dollars to pay to raise and educate other children. I promise to be a watchdog over our tax dollars and make sure that the school budget, which is over $500 million here in Marion County, make sure it remains under tight scrutiny and that every dollar is paid out of necessity. I look forward to hearing any of your thoughts and concerns. I am Sheila Arnett. I am running for District 5 School Board, and I ask for your vote on August 28th. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We have another governor candidate. I'm going to turn it over to him, and then we're going to get into some question and answers from the audience. So here we go.
Thank you all for waiting. Thank you for taking your time to be here with all of us today. My name is Bruce Nathan. I am a Republican candidate for governor 2018. And I have to tell you, I'm a 22-year medical practitioner, so I'm not a politician. So that's very important to know. And in response to 9/11, I joined the military because they're going to knock down my buildings, I'm going in. 9-year honorably discharged captain of the United States Army. Thank you. I feel very good saying that here at the VFW, looking around where I'm looking. And I just dropped my son off at West Point 2 weeks ago, and my daughter's under Naval Command out by the Azores. So I wholeheartedly believe in our military and our sovereignty as a state. Let me also tell you I am anti-establishment, anti-corruption, anti-waste, pro-life, pro-Trump, and I have 6 children in total, faithful husband as I am. Because I think it's all about, and we're all talking here about the children. Everybody's talking about the children. But it takes leadership from the top, from the governor's office, to make sure that our children are going to get what they need. That's supposed to be our legacy. That's from the Bible. The legacy is our children. And if we don't have that, we are in trouble. And right now, we're all in trouble. So if you see our top 2 candidates that are up there, 20-year candidate, 20-year politician, Mr. Putnam, and the other one, DeSantis, 3-term congressman, that's not what we want. We're trying to drain the swamp. If you're in line with our president in any capacity, we're trying to make it so we don't have any more politicians in office. We are trying to get them all out. And that's what we have to do, but you have to hire somebody, and I'm not saying anybody else but hire. You are hiring me to have solutions to the problems in the state of Florida. So I have solutions with education, with the environment, with We the People healthcare system. I've created a patent-pending healthcare system for every single one of you here. So it's a medical practitioner that's been in thousands of homes for over 20 years to be able to make something like this. You can't wait for the federal government to bring it down and let them make it happen. We are the people that have to bring government, we have to bring the people back to the government. And if we don't do that and do it fast, we're sunk, and we're sunk fast.
30 seconds.
So with my 30 seconds, I have to tell you that one of the most important things to me, as I said, is the children, is the education. And I'll let you know that I was just down in DeSoto County, and I fought against the Board of Commissioners there because they wanted to rezone for phosphate mining. And we won against phosphate mining, against Mosaic, 4-1. And it's the first win we've had in Florida against Mosaic. And I will stand up and fight for you in every capacity that I possibly can, no matter what it is, if it's for the people. BruceNathan2018.com, BruceNathan2018. Thank you so much.
Okay, first of all, let me thank everybody for submitting questions. We had a fair amount of questions. I'm going to start with the first one. It's probably the most obvious, and this is the one that had almost a fifth of the questions dealt with this. I'm going to go right down the line. Mr. Nathan, can you? Yeah, okay, we've got everybody. Could you go right down the line? This is literally going to be yes or no because we have so many of you. Probably most of you know what the question is, and it is yay or nay on the coastal connection. Yay or nay? I know some of you will not have a vote in it, but we don't know if you might ever run for a position that would affect that. So let me just start with the microphone. Literally, it's yay or nay. No. No. That was a yes? Okay.
No.
No.
No. No.
No.
No way. No. Hell no.
Sorry, I just had to change it up a little bit.
Judges cannot comment on pending legislation.
I know you just never know. They see you somewhere that you need to comment on it.
No.
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 Heck, no.
Double heck no.
Absolutely not.
Thank you all very much. It was a big question in the question and answers, and I think it's important for our legislators and whatnot to know sort of how we feel more locally. Okay, this is for our school board candidates, and I think this is also an important question. This was asked more than once, and I think there are 8 of you. We'll give you a minute to comment on it. What is your position on having teachers armed in the schools? Armed in the schools?
My opinion is very simple. Teachers should not be armed in the schools. Teachers need to focus on teaching. As a person on the ground in the schools, we already have a whole lot to do. My job is to be for real. I'm there to teach. I'm there to counsel. I'm there to be their nurse sometimes. I'm there to teach them social skills. Let me focus on that. I think certified law officials need to be on our campus to secure our kids. So I do not, as of now, think that teachers need to be carrying guns on public schools.
I do support the Guardian program. Now let me explain. The Guardian program will ask for volunteers from retired law enforcement and active military to volunteer to carry and be on school campuses. So, but that's not arming teachers. That's not about giving teachers guns. But what it is about is changing our schools from gun-free zones, which are kill zones, into places where the bad guy will think, you know, if I go in there and start behaving badly, then somebody in there is liable to shoot back and maybe I should not do it. And for that reason, I absolutely think we need to protect our most precious gifts from God, and I support the Guardian program. That's not the same as arming teachers.
I do not support putting firearms in any teacher's hands. First, because I am a certified law enforcement officer, and I understand the training that we have to go through to carry a weapon. There are some other certified law enforcement officers on this panel that would probably agree with me that the training is not 30, 40 hours. There has to be some extensive training. So if you're gonna put certified law enforcement officers, which are SROs or retired ones that have kept their certification, I'm in agreement with that, but not putting guns in teachers' hands. We should be getting guns out of the school instead of putting them in the hands of a teacher.
Thank you. I believe what you just said about, I don't think that teachers or our employees that have a gun at all, because one thing, safety. And because they were saying, I know that the school board, you can look at the newspaper and you can see that we had someone at the newspaper that touched one of our students. So if you have a gun, we can do anything. And so I think we need to look about safety right in the hand of the sheriff, because those are the things that they need to be trained. They have to be trained for training, and it's a long 6 months of information that they need to do. So for any employee to have a gun at our school board, I think we be under the Guardian program. I believe with that because they have to have all the information. But safety, thank you.
My name is Jane Morley, and I believe that when I send my child to school, I send him to get the perfect education and to come back safe to me. That's my concern. If you have a retired military, if you have a retired police officer that have taken on the position of becoming a teacher, I don't see a problem why that teacher cannot have something in the classroom that would protect that child. Response time is very important. There are pros and cons to that. The Guardian program is an excellent program, and the resource officers that we're gonna have in our schools is a way to handle that. Thank you.
Nancy Thrower here. I'm a teacher, and I got into teaching to educate children, not to kill children. And I think that's two very different mindsets. And what I mean by that is we need all the help we can get to help harden our schools, to make sure that the bad guys don't get in the first place, to have one point of entry and multiple exits out. And I grew up in a pretty rough school in Cleveland, Ohio, and even back in those days, we had what they called hall monitors, and they wore the school colors. Some of them were armed, some of them weren't. But what they did do was build relationships with the kids, and they found things out. They were the ears on the ground, so they served a dual role as mentors and also as safety. I am so grateful. My father is a veteran, and I honor our first responders and their unique talents and their abilities. And I think that the problem is bigger than just arming teachers. I think we really need to work together with our community on this and come to our best decision. Thank you.
Hi, I am Kelly King. I do support the Guardian program. This year, the state of Florida received some legislation from Tallahassee. And with this legislation, you can have employees that are not classroom teachers, but they could be administrators or other employees that are on the campus. They are retired military or police officers. They would have to have a background check from Sheriff Woods, and in this check, there is a polygraph test, there is drug testing, there is mental health testing, and then they have 140 hours, maybe 142, but it's 140 hours of training with our Sheriff Woods before they could ever carry a gun. It will be very discreet, no one is gonna know who they are. Just a quick note, Sheriff Woods, we submitted about 300 employees that could be on the schools, and it's limited, I think it's like down to 10. So it's very, very small, the people that actually qualify, because we're doing a good job screening and making sure that it is the appropriate decision. And another reason, fiscally, if you think about it, these employees are there, they're working. Sheriff Woods also provides the guns and bullets, so that's my stance.
Hi, I'm Sheila Arnett. I am running for School Board District 5. I don't know if all of you know what we're up here talking about. So after Parkland shooting happened, the legislature said you must have a school resource officer, a school safety officer, or someone called the Aaron Feist Guardian Program. Aaron Feist was the principal who put his body between himself and students, between the shooter and students, and was tragically killed during the Parkland shooting in February of this year. What the Guardian program says is, and I hear from veterans all over the county, they're like, we would love to volunteer to come and protect the schools. And so I think that that is something that we need to look at down the road, to go through that 140 plus hour class with Sheriff Woods, to go through those background checks. For right now, I think that the school board did make the best decision and choose to have school resource officers this year, for this next school year. But to go back to the original question, never, ever, ever do I think a teacher who is responsible for children, whether they have gone through the program or not, if they are responsible for children, they should not have a gun on campus, for fear that those children may get to that gun.
Great answers. Thank you all very much. I'm going to pose this question to our state representative candidates and our federal representative candidate. And it is, what are you doing for the lack of health care in small communities? Brandon, I'm going to start with you since you're on the federal level, and you could just pass it down to you.
Certainly. I envision a system in which every single man, woman, and child in this country can get to an urgent care clinic in 25 minutes or less. And within an hour of every single one of those urgent care clinics needs to be a hospital. One of the reasons you go into a hospital today and pay $100 for an aspirin tablet is because people wait until they have pneumonia to treat the cough. We need to stop that. We need to make care available. We can do that through a partnership between the federal government and its massive resources and the private medical industry we have. In this nation, we have the greatest medical system in the world, and yet it's the most expensive and the most highly dysfunctional. So my single-payer Medicare for All healthcare plan, coupled with a series of clinics across the entire country, would make the medical treatments that people need. And make no bones about it, they don't need health insurance, they need health care. This will make health care available to every person in the country. Thank you.
Charlie Stone, your current House member. The Florida House and the Senate and the governor have taken great strides in addressing the healthcare issues and throughout the state of Florida. Rural healthcare is always going to be on challenge, mainly because of the population and where the healthcare centers are located. It's hard for a rural healthcare facility to survive. One of the things that I think we can do and should be doing is making sure that we have identities such as the Heart of Florida that we have here in Marion County that is actually not part of the state operation. It's really part of the federally qualified care center. And when we can do those type of identities throughout the community, they become preventive maintenance care. So instead of waiting until you get super sick and you end up in an emergency room, you go to these qualified centers and you come on a program that will allow you to address the needs before they get severe. State of Florida is addressing that issue, but I will remind you, healthcare is a big issue in our appropriation budget. The fastest growing sector of the Florida budget is healthcare. It's growing at a rapid speed. So we do need to get a handle on it, and I think there are some ways that we can address that.
I'm so glad I got this question because I'm the nurse up here and I have lots of ideas on how to fix this situation. Tallahassee this past year has held back the Nurse Practice Act. What that is, and Michael Crimmins knows all about it as well, he's a physician's assistant. These nurse practitioners and PAs are, by 2020, will be PhD levels who have many years experience in the field. I've got 25 years in the operating room. Yes, they're not a medical physician, but we need to be proactive. And by doing so, we can turn around the hospital-centric facility system into a more community-based system. Let's bring back the house call. I remember my doctor, Dr. Saffel, when I was 4 years old, house calls. It restores dignity, it keeps independence. Also, in addition to that, for medical care, I believe that the school teacher could be an advanced registered practice nurse as well. Okay, that's going to resolve issues with diabetes and obesity. You have 67 counties here. You put a nurse in a county. Tallahassee appropriates money, tons of money for research studies. Let's just say the Coastal Connector, which had the I-75 project money and for research. They've got this money that they don't use common sense for. We put a nurse in each county for schools. Let's talk about diabetes. Let's talk about those sort of things. Be proactive. This legislation could pass very well. It did not go, and it's obviously big lobbyists, special interests fighting against it. I'm not sure why, but being proactive regarding that would be something we need to do. Also, I am a 501c3 Paul Chester Children's Hope Foundation. There's actually a community here, facility here in Denell, just got their 501c3 to provide medical care to the indigent. This is something that we need to improve upon, enable. Let's foster it. It's a very good program. Time is up. And I need to run, speaking of healthcare, to the OR. I'm due there at 6:30, so I appreciate your time, everybody. Please remember Bridget Smith for State Representative District 22.
Well, I support the position of our next Congressman, Brendan Peters. I don't think anyone can say it any better. And when he talks about healthcare being dysfunctional, I'll tell you what I did yesterday. My wife was very sick. I took her to the emergency room at Shands Hospital in Gainesville, which is a premier hospital in this area. And she is a patient within that whole system. So they had all of her background data. When they asked her pain level, she said it was at 9. We were there at 1 in the afternoon. We sat in that waiting room until 10 at night, and we were never seen by a doctor. She was finally so sick that we had to leave. There were other people in that waiting room that waited for 15 hours and never saw a doctor. That's a medical system that is dysfunctional.
Thank you very much. I'm going to pose this to the governor candidates and our federal candidates and our state representatives. It is, should we allow reclaimed water to be injected into our drinking water system?
Absolutely not. There's no way we have any ability to know what that's going to do to our aquifers. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And the people who are putting it out and saying, well, we only have so much water left in the state of Florida, okay, well, we're going to ruin it all. So no, we don't inject something that Mother Nature has already put there and said we need to have it just like it is. But I have to address the medical thing because you didn't come around this way. Since I have a We the People healthcare system, that it's a patent pending in Washington right now. This is a system where it's a telemed system where people have instant access 24/7 to a nurse practitioner like Bridget, to a PA, to the doctor. And this is what needs to happen. It's 24/7, so there's no waiting time, zero. And especially for veterans who need to be seen 24/7, 100% no deductible, and they get covered 100% of the time. That's what has to happen. I'm sorry, but old school, old school, old school. Bridget's the new school. That's the way it has to happen. We need fast medical treatment right away. And we don't want them going in. She's right. We bring in, where I live, we're bringing doctors and nurse practitioners into the house. And that's what's happening right now. But that's going to happen under the We the People healthcare system all the time. Because when you go out to a hospital, that's your first line of getting a disease. That's your first line of MRSA or C. diff or any of those other things that I see patients with all the time that say they came from the hospital and have this problem. You need to stay in the home as much as possible, be treated there as much as possible. That's where your health is going to come from, back in the home.
Once again, I'm John Joseph Mercadanti. I can be found on patriotforthestate.com and on LinkedIn under John Joseph Mercadanti. This groundwater thing, the EPA has done a lot of stuff in the past, like for air conditioning heat pumps to suck the water out of the aquifer and dump it back in. They put a stop to that. I think we need to go along those lines. We can't contaminate these rivers that start from Lake Okeechobee and end up going into the ocean. That's our water. I'm a presidential advisor. I've communicated to Trump's people many times. The government and the states have no business in health care. The insurance companies lobbied Congress to give us this big problem. What they need to do is they need to put all these CEOs of the largest insurance companies locked in a room and say, don't come out until you have a solution. You broke it, you're getting wealthy from it, fix it.
The answer to that question is no.
I concur, and speaking of water, and clean water, groundwater, contaminated water, whenever I think about Dunellen, I think about one of your former residents who was a champion on this issue. I don't know if you recall the water lady, Nancy Argenziano, who later served in the Florida legislature and as the last and probably only consumer activist in Florida history to serve as chair of the Public Service Commission. But you should be proud of your former resident. I know she still loves this community. Thank you.
Well, actually, clean water and protecting our drinking water supply is so important to me. I have a section on my platform just called Clean Water, and it goes into a number of the threats that are facing our drinking water supply. A lot of folks don't realize that over the past few years, the level of toxins that are allowed in the water supply were increased under the Scott administration, which means that there are more toxins allowed in our water supply. As I mentioned earlier, I went up to the Capitol in Tallahassee specifically to lobby against fracking because of the fact that it would have threatened our drinking water supply. So once again, when we talk about injecting treated waste, treated water back, circulating that back in the drinking water supply, this is the exact wrong kind of direction. We need to be protecting our drinking water supply. We need to be elevating it as a highest good and basic necessity.
Not only do we not want reclaimed water injected into our water supply, we don't want fracking chemicals, and while we're drinking healthy water, let's stop feeding our children garbage in school cafeterias. It's true story that one of my sons came home and told me about the moldy pizza they gave him in his public school cafeteria from one of the vendors that had been privatized out, that was supposed to be not turning a profit at the expense of my children's lunch, but serving garbage to these children is just as big a problem as the injection of reclaimed water into the water supply. Thank you.
I think clean water is important to all of us. Everybody in this room depends on a good quality and good quantity of clean water. The question was, would you allow or continue to allow the injection of treated water into the aquifer? The answer is simply, it is allowable, and I support that, and here's the reason why. The injected clean, or the fluids water that is treated to a level that's better than most household or well water that you're drinking today. It is. It has to meet those standards, or it's not allowed to do that. I don't know of any facility in this area that is currently injecting it into the aquifer. There may be some. I've not heard of any in my district. It may be. But I know in South Florida, if you went to South Florida right now and said, what are you doing with your treated water? Most of them are injected it into the aquifer. And here's why. Because they have to have a water supply for their constituents. If you don't do that, then what you're doing with the water? If you treat the water, you got to dispose of it somehow or another. Treated water in the aquifer is not creating the problem. Sewer, septic tanks is creating far more problems. So in one sense, you're saying, dust don't treat the water, and let's don't put it back in the aquifer. But at the same time, you're saying the septic systems are failing as well. You got to do one or the other. Either have septic systems and allow that pollution, or you treat the water through a municipal treatment plant and dispose of the treated water. It's pretty simple, one or the other. I think we can treat the water to a high standard, and it will be drinkable. In fact, I've seen people drink it, come right out of the treatment center.
I would just ask you, have you drank any of it?
But I would, yeah.
You would, okay. Well, as I said, one of my main first platform is on water, both fresh water and also to protect our saltwater beaches. But another aspect of this fresh water is saltwater intrusion. And again, I think we should use the funds that are in the Florida Forever funding in order to protect our water resources.
We're going to have one more question. It's going to go to the county commissioners, and then we're going to give these fine folks an opportunity to do a 1-minute closing on why you should all go to the polls and vote for them. This question is for the county commissioners. Is it possible, or would you be in favor of diverting some of the revenue collected at the KP Hole to be used to assist some issues in Dunellen, i.e. parking or some version like that?
Short and simple, no. We are going to do other things to try to divert that. The county is actually looking at a long-term solution for the problem that we have with the parking. We're working with the state, and we actually would like to have a different plan as to where the tubers actually end up coming out from the KP hole.
I have to chime in on the healthcare issue real quick. Repeal and replace Obamacare, number one. Number two, the water that will cause a pandemic, if not an epidemic, eventually in Florida. Now, to the question. So the question is, I would leave that up to Denellen. Leave the revenues here. They're generated here, they stay here.
Well, I would agree that we need to get with the mayor and find out where those funds are best spent. If they are generated here, if they're needed somewhere else. Once again, we serve we the people. It should be we the people that make the decision, not county government.
And I understand why you would ask that question, of course, being in Denellen. But we have a county-wide park system, right? You can't just say, you know, money spent here, money spent there. We have money that's spent in myriads of parks across the entire community. And all of them go into support. They all run a deficit. They all cost all of the taxpayers' dollars. So no, just because you do have a little bit of revenue that is generated at KP Hole, that has to be spread across all of the county parks that we have in the community. And it still runs a deficit, and it still should be a park system that is run countywide and not just about one particular park and its administration fees and tubing fees, right? And the county, by the way, has done a tremendous amount of spending in Denellen, more than $500,000 from the parks funds over the years, continues to spend and invest capital investments all of the time to make sure that your park system is running well, including law enforcement. There are many things well and above the revenue that is generated at KP Hole that we partner with the city of Denellen, never mind the transportation and all the other things that we do in partnership. And it's because of that partnership that we continue to work together. And so that's the only reason I would move that money out of the park system, because we have to generate it as a whole park system. We can't look at it one park in isolation.
All right, we're going to finish up here. Let's call it the lightning round. We're going to ask each candidate to give us 1 minute while we should all rush to the polls and vote for you. We're going to start at this end, since we've always started at that one. Try to keep it to 1 minute. Here you go.
I am Sheila Arnett. I am running for School Board District 5. I am married to former County Commissioner Earl Arnett. We have spent thousands and thousands of hours volunteering in our community over the years. We are committed to Marion County. I have made the commitment that I will visit every school in Marion County at least once in my first year in office. There's 52 of them. That is something that our current school board does not do. There are a couple of dozen schools that it's been about a year since there's been a school board member to visit them, and so I am making that commitment. I am Sheila Arnett, and I am running for School Board District 5, and ask for your vote on August 28th.
Hi, my name is Kelly King. My husband is a teacher, my sister is an AP, my son is a senior at Vanguard High. I have experience in the classroom. I know classrooms, I have a pulse, I have many friends, and I know many constituents and citizens that are in that classroom. I have experience analyzing and approving a budget of over $500,000. That's close to, or it's more than $500 million. And I know how to approve and look at good policy. So I ask for your vote on August 28th, Kelly King. Thank you.
The lightning round, I love it. All right, I am Nancy Thrower, and I'm running for Marion County School Board District 4. As your school board member, you can count on me to be visible, accountable, and communicative. The main job of a school board member is policy and budget, but those policies and budgets are not going to be done with common sense unless you get out there in the community, get to know your schools, partner with people and hear what they have to say. I am strong on citizenship, vocational training, and local control of our public education dollars. So please vote for Nancy Thrower, Marion County School Board, District 4. Thank you.
Jane Morley, candidate for School Board District 4. I am the Tiger Mom. I have taught my kids, I have instilled in them to be excellent at what they do. My daughter, she studies for medicine at USF. My younger son, he is back in college. My older son, he is married, has 2 grandchildren. I have 2 grandchildren. My younger son, my grandbaby, my oldest grandchild is gonna enter kindergarten this fall. So yes, safety is important for children. Academic excellence, making sure that they know the basic R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I have to rephrase that. My opinion about guns. You're right, I'm wrong on that. Teachers should not be armed, have guns in the classroom. So, that's my opinion. Jane Morley, School Board District 4.
Hi, my name is Angie Boynton for the Marion County School Board, District 4. I believe that my past and my current experience may prepare me to be your school board representative right now. As our budget, like we said, is the bit that we have over $500 million as I do taxes, but also a review and audit small business for the IRS, and Florida for the for the Department of Revenue, excuse me. But I do that. So vote for me, Angie Boynton, for the school board. Like I said again, coughing is before I had a stroke, but I still know and do everything that I do for my students. Even with the superintendent knows if I need something, I will tell her everything. I'm still good. I can still talk. It was just the ball kind of talks better. But vote for me, Angie Boynton, for the school board, District 4, and thank you.
Reverend Eric Cummings, Marion County School Board, District 3. I am the common sense candidate for District 3, Dunellas District. I am the one that is going to give transparent leadership, that's going to give truthful leadership, and leadership with integrity. I'm the one that's going to be willing to work with our superintendent, whomever that person may be, and all of the board members. I'm just going to be one vote on the board. But however, I believe that I have the ability, I know that I have the ability that I can talk to one. That's 2 votes. I believe the 2 of us will be able to talk to another one. That's 3 votes, and we'll be able to get policies and procedures moved across. We need to put students first and stop putting everything else before the academic status of our students. Eric Cummings, Marion County School Board, don't just vote for me on August 28th. Vote for me right now. If you already got your ballots at the house, start voting right now.
That's good.
Hello again. I'm still Ed Wilson, and I'm still running for Marion County School Board District 3. There's a reason so many people ask me to run for school board again. That's because I have a proven track record of working hard in our community to make life better here in Marion County, working very hard locally and at the state level to improve public education. So please remember, vote Ed for education. And thank you all so much for hanging in here all this time. Thank you.
So, I'm Donnie Prophet, and I'm running for Marion County School Board, District 3. And I think one of the main differences is that you need somebody who's currently on the ground in the classroom that know kids, and that's what I do. I know kids on the elementary, middle level. I know where to get them from point A to point B. I know what policies that actually put in place to assist our kids. Every kid, no matter if they are gifted or disabled, because I have that experience. One thing I do want to clarify is, that I am an expert on education policy. I really do understand it. And we have the Guardian Bill. And that's one thing I did not mention. The Guardian Bill do not exclusively say in there that it's just law enforcement and ex-military people. It says you don't have to be a classroom teacher. That's what the Guardian Bill says. So it could be it could be administrators, it could be whatever. Marion County is pretty good at you know, having that policy in place saying that we're just gonna do X,